Stephen Christopher Yaxley-Lennon, better known by the name Tommy Robinson, was born on November 27, 1982, in Luton, Bedfordshire, England. Raised in a working-class Irish family, his childhood was shaped by the daily struggles of ordinary life in an industrial town. His father worked hard to provide for the family, while his mother instilled discipline and resilience in her children. From an early age, Stephen grew up in an environment where identity, culture, and community were central, themes that would later define much of his adult life. Luton in the 1980s and 1990s was a town experiencing immense demographic and cultural change. Robinson, who later took on that name as a pseudonym, would speak often about how these experiences during his youth influenced his worldview. Despite the challenges around him, he was a bright and curious student. He went on to attend local schools before pursuing training as an aircraft engineer at Luton Airport. For a while, it seemed as though his life was destined to follow a more traditional path, one rooted in family, work, and stability. It was during this period that Robinson's life began to diverge. He married Jenna Vowles, and together they built a family, raising 3 children. By all accounts, Robinson cherished his role as a husband and father, often describing his motivation in life as a desire to protect and provide for his family. His private life contrasted sharply with the public figure he was about to become, for at home he was seen as a devoted father who valued love, responsibility, and loyalty above all else. But it was in the streets of his hometown and across the UK where Robinson's name became known. In 2009, he co-founded the English Defence League (EDL), a far-right movement that quickly gained notoriety for its rallies, protests, and outspoken criticism of radical Islam. Robinson presented himself as a voice for those he claimed were being ignored in debates over immigration, extremism, and national identity. His decision to adopt the name Tommy Robinson came from a local football hooligan of the same nickname, and he used it as a shield to protect his family name while building a public persona. The rise of the EDL marked the start of Robinson's career as a political activist. His rallies drew thousands of supporters, but also fierce opposition, leading to frequent clashes with police and counter-protesters. Among the most remembered events was the London rally in 2013, where Robinson addressed a massive crowd, calling for what he described as a defense of British culture and values. For his supporters, he became a working-class hero unafraid to speak against political correctness, while critics condemned him as a dangerous provocateur fueling division and hate. Robinson's activism often came at great personal cost. He was arrested multiple times, facing charges ranging from public order offenses to fraud. His time in prison exposed him to further hardships, including violent attacks from fellow inmates. Yet, he emerged from these experiences more determined than ever, using them to portray himself as a man willing to suffer for his cause. These narratives only solidified his position among followers who viewed him as a martyr for free speech. Despite stepping down from the leadership of the EDL in 2013, Robinson continued to reinvent himself as an activist, journalist, and author. He collaborated with organizations abroad, spoke at international events, and became increasingly vocal on social media platforms, where his videos and posts reached millions. His online presence was both a blessing and a curse. It amplified his message to a global audience, but also led to bans from major platforms for violating policies on hate speech. Still, Robinson adapted, moving to alternative platforms and maintaining a dedicated audience. Robinson's personal life during this time reflected the duality of his existence. To the public, he was a firebrand agitator, often at the center of controversy. At home, however, he was still Stephen, the family man who sought normalcy with his wife and children. He would often say that his activism came at a price not only for himself, but for his loved ones, who sometimes bore the consequences of his notoriety. Balancing the demands of being a husband, father, and high-profile activist was not easy, yet he continued to push forward, driven by a sense of mission. His political journey extended beyond street activism. Robinson attempted to transition into formal politics, standing as an independent candidate in the European Parliament elections in 2019. Though unsuccessful, his campaign reflected his attempt to bring his grassroots support into the electoral arena. His candidacy highlighted his desire to legitimize his voice within the system, even if mainstream politics often rejected him. Over the years, Robinson published books, gave countless interviews, and featured in documentaries that chronicled both his rise and the controversies surrounding him. His story became a case study in modern populism, free speech debates, and the power of social media in shaping political narratives. While some saw him as a defender of Western values, others saw him as a symbol of intolerance. The polarizing nature of his figure ensured that his name would rarely escape the headlines. Robinson's London rally remained one of the defining moments of his activism. It symbolized his ability to mobilize large groups of people and cemented his place as a figure who could not be ignored in discussions about identity, multiculturalism, and extremism in Britain. Whether celebrated or condemned, the rally was proof of his ability to capture the frustrations of a segment of society that felt voiceless. As years passed, Robinson's health, safety, and well-being were often points of concern. Facing legal battles, financial pressures, and security threats, he acknowledged the toll his work had taken. Yet he insisted that his mission was larger than himself, that it was about the future of his children and generations to come. His narrative was deeply personal, a father fighting not just for his family, but for what he saw as the cultural survival of his country. By the time Robinson reached his 40s, his legacy was already written in the debates he had sparked. He was a figure who had walked into the heart of controversy and remained there, unflinching. Supporters hailed his courage and authenticity, while opponents saw him as divisive and dangerous. What cannot be denied is the impact he had on British society, politics, and culture. His ability to shape discussions, attract media attention, and galvanize ordinary citizens was a testament to his influence, whether one agreed with him or not. Through all of it, Robinson continued to describe himself simply as a man of the people, not a polished politician or a celebrity activist, but someone from Luton who stood up when he felt others would not. His family remained his anchor, his wife Jenna, and their children G.I. His family remained his anchor, his wife Jenna, and their children giving him the grounding he needed amidst storms of criticism and adulation. The story of Tommy Robinson is one of contradictions, of a man who sought peace at home but found conflict in the world, of someone who longed for acceptance but thrived in resistance, of a father who wanted the best for his children yet lived a life surrounded by turbulence. His biography is not one of quiet achievement, but of loud, unrelenting confrontation with the issues of his time. At the heart of it, Tommy Robinson's journey is the tale of an individual who became larger than himself, whose name ignited debates across pubs, parliaments, and press rooms. Whether history remembers him as a defender of free speech or as a divisive agitator, his life story is a reminder of how one man's choices can ripple through society, shaping conversations for years to come.